Hello everyone, this is Mr. Underkoffler. Today we're going to be looking at the guided notes called Solving Perimeter Equations Using Inverse Operations. Alright, here's the big idea. We've had perimeter before, but we've mostly dealt with perimeter of triangles in the past. So this one is going to be perimeter of a rectangle. Not that you've never had this before, but here's the big idea. A rectangle has two lengths that are the same, and you can see them here in my drawing. Length up here for this side, and the length down here for this side. They are exactly the same measure. And they also have two widths that are the same. You can see the width for the side over here is the exact same measure as the width for the side on the left. So, two lengths that are the same, two widths that are the same. The way that we normally get perimeter is we just add the outside measurements together. But since there's two lengths that are the same, we can do 2 times the length, 2L. And since there's two widths that are the same, we can do 2 times W, 2W. And then add those results together to give you the perimeter. You might have seen this perimeter formula in the past, perhaps. Okay, using inverse operations, the formula that we just looked at, P equals 2L plus 2W, can also be used to solve for the length or the width when given the perimeter's value. And that is what the focus is going to be on these guided notes. So take a look at number 1, get your pencils ready, calculators ready perhaps. The perimeter of the rectangle that they're showing you here is 294 inches. Find the measure of its length. And you can see they even label the length as lowercase cursive L. By the way, if you're wondering why I use cursive L for length instead of just a regular L, it's because a printed L looks too much like a 1. So this is the one and only variable that I will always make a lowercase cursive L, and a lot of math textbooks will do that as well. Okay, so here's the deal. We can start with the formula that is exclusive for being the perimeter formula of a rectangle. Write that down. And we can substitute everything that we actually have numbers for. Starting with the P. P stands for perimeter. And they told us in the opening sentence that the perimeter is 294 inches. So, pencils in your hand. Instead of keeping P as perimeter, let's replace it with what it equals. 294 inches. Bring down the equal sign. Now, the 2 is still 2. The L, do we know the value of L? No, we don't. We're asked to find the measurement of the length. So finding the length is still the unknown. So L will stay as L. Plus, 2 is still 2. W, do we know the value of the width? Well, look over here at the drawing, and you will see that the width is 51 inches. It also will be 51 inches over here. That's why there's two of these widths. So we can replace the width with the number that it equals, which is 51 inches. Now, before we use inverse operations to solve, let's simplify whatever we can simplify. 2 times 51, that is something we can actually do. So, probably no calculator needed for this. 2 times 1 is 2, 2 times 5 is 10. Put it together, you get 102. Bring everything else down along with this. Make sure you're writing all this down. Now we can do inverse operations. And you guys know how this works by now. You're going to go in the reverse order from what's happening to the variable. The variable is being multiplied by 2. Then it's being added by 102. You can do inverse operations in the reverse order. So start with the addition or subtraction piece. Inverse of adding by 102, subtracting by 102. Do it on both sides of the equal sign. That's going to give you 192. I don't even think you needed a calculator for that. 4 minus 2 was 2. 9 minus 0 was 9. 2 minus 1 was 1. That was really easy subtraction. Bring down the 2L. 102 minus 102 is 0. We don't have to show the 0 step anymore. The inverse of multiplying by 2, let's write this down, is dividing by 2. And you don't even, well, maybe you need a calculator for this. Maybe not. This is going to give you 96. Let's put the unit of measure. Everything here was in inches. So 96 inches equals the length, and that is what the problem wanted me to do. The problem wanted me to find the measure of its length. So there you go. Let's do another one together to get the hang of this. Perimeter of the rectangle is 42 feet. Find the measure of its width. Okay, since we're still talking about perimeter of a rectangle, let's start with the perimeter formula. And once again, let's substitute every possible number that we can for the variables whose values we actually know. And just like the last problem, they gave us the perimeter. They told us it was 42 feet. So perimeter, P, will be replaced with what it equals, which is 42 feet. 2 is still 2. Do we know the length? Well, on the last problem, we didn't. We had to find the measure of the length. But on this problem, we're finding the measure of the width. So the length is actually given to us here. So the L will be replaced with what it equals. So instead of 2 times L, it's 2 times 11.5. Now, there's still more. We still got a plus. Don't lose this plus. Don't lose this 2. They don't disappear for no good reason. What about the W? Do we know what the W is? We don't. The problem literally said, find the measure of its width. And you can see on the drawing, it's even labeled the width. So we were never told what the width is. So that's still going to be W. Okay, on the last problem, we were able to take 2 times 51. On this problem, you can see we can take 2 times 11.5. So what is 2 times 11.5? Well, 2 times 12 would be 24. So this is just a little bit less. This is going to be 23. Bring everything else down. So the 42, the equal sign, the plus, the 2W, bring all that down. And now let's do inverse operations from what's happening to the W. It's being times by 2 and added by 23. Let's reverse that. Inverse of adding by 23 is subtracting by 23. We do it on both sides. 42 minus 23 is going to give us 19. 23 minus 23 is 0. We don't have to show the 0. Bring down the 2W. And now let's do the inverse of multiplying by 2, because that's what 2W means. 2 times W. Inverse of multiplication is division. Write it down. 19 divided by 2. If you had to use a calculator, you could. That would give you 9.5. The unit of measure is not inches this time. It is feet. If you look back, everything here was in feet. So 9.5 feet. All right, now that we have done 2 problems together, I think you should be getting the hang of this. So hit pause, do 3 and do 4 on your own, and then hit play when you're ready to see how you did. Okay. Did you already do 3 and 4 on your own? Let's see how we did. Perimeter formula. We know perimeter is 189 from the original problem. We can see on the drawing that we don't know W, so W is still W, but we know the length is 72 inches. 2 times 72, we can do that. That gives us 144. As I go through this, if I go too fast, feel free to hit pause. Feel free to rewind if you have to. Do whatever you have to do. Inverse of adding by 144 is subtracting. That's going to give you 45. Inverse of timesing by 2 is dividing by 2, and that's going to give you 22.5 inches for the width. Problem number 4. Perimeter formula. Do we know the perimeter? Yes, we do. It is 64 feet. They tell us that in the first sentence. We do not know the length this time. Find the measure of the length. So L stays as L, but we do know the width. That is the 13. And 2 times 13, we can do that and get 26. So 2 times 13, 26. Let's now do inverse operations. Inverse of adding by 26 is subtracting by 26. That would give you 38. Inverse of multiplying by 2 is dividing by 2. And that's going to give you 19 feet. And that concludes the guided notes on solving perimeter equations using inverse operations. Thank you for watching. We'll see you next time.